Saturday. It's February. Valentine's Day is over, but it's time to go through the round on the 13th of Feb. I was looking at the rounds. This is actually round 17 of the 20-round experiment, and it's getting to a point now where I'm collecting enough data and have enough stats to really assist me with where I need to take the energy and obviously work on areas which need maybe some instruction or just need a bit more time or exposure to practice. And I'm really enjoying it. It's February already. I haven't actually had my first tournament of the year. I still haven't had I have had my first league match of the year, and I can actually record my first monthly mug or monthly medal at my club. But it is a situation where time's flying and you hope that you've got the right patterns and behavior in play. Apologies, I am driving, so there's going to be some sounds that maybe come through. I'm hoping that the system is picking up obviously a much clearer audio than I hope it is. Obviously the aircon is on as well. But yeah, no, I'm very happy with the way things have been going. I want to go through my Wednesday round that wasn't at my home course. It was at Victoria Country Club. It sits on a mountain. It is a mountain type of course. It's a inland condition. I learned very quickly on the third and fourth hole that I was getting obviously distances that were at least 10%, 11% when you move from the coast to something around 600 meters above sea level. So I had an altitude effect. I probably only got this right after the fourth hole, but the conditions were wet. The inclement weather was on the way. It didn't start at the beginning of the round, but definitely by hole 15, it was very slippery, and it was almost a course that was dealing with a waterlogging effect. But I must tell you, I was really happy with the scorecard and the course management on the day, and let me explain how it went. So the first hole at Victoria Country Club, you are teeing off from the clubhouse on the right side when looking downhill, and it is an extreme downhill opening tee shot, because if you hit a driver and you find trouble left or right, you could be in big trouble with obviously having to replay the shot or having a lost ball. I knew that I didn't have to hit 100%. I hit a 70% driver to the left side of the fairway. It did obviously just find a little bit of a tree, which probably saved me from going too far left, but I had found myself 40 meters from the pin, and I had a very open line to access the area between the flag and the front of the green, because the greens that are not necessarily very deep at Victoria, but they are very wide, very slopey. You can actually break some of the greens into 3 smaller greens, and I would say to you that I did the right thing by at least having myself a very open, let's call it pitch shot, that would actually give me a chance of a very good chance of birdie. And that's exactly what happened. I put a lob wedge inside 10 foot, and I had myself a left to right that was inside a 9 foot. So very happy with my start to go birdie on the first hole. Had no practice shots. Did spend a little bit of time putting and just finding a rhythm. But, you know, it's weird how golf does that. You can actually be very organized in your thoughts, and you could be very happy with the signing in of being at a different surrounding, and you could be very content with the fact that you are out of the office and you are in a very manicured and a very highly labor intensive environment, which you actually benefit with the cost of a green fee and a competition fee. So I've got some very good thoughts after the first hole. I knew I didn't have to hit a very good tee shot, but I now am faced with the second hole, which is actually very it's medium length. It's not long, but it's a par 4 that has a very strategic bunker on the left, which I find 3-wood or driver would probably find, and you don't want to be in these bunkers that are almost pot-shaped on the fairways, and there's absolutely no way of missing right with all the trouble that lines the course on the second hole. There is literally a big drop-off into indigenous garden, indigenous bush, and there's no chance of finding the ball if you spray it right, and there's no markers for a penalty area. So the right play was to take a hybrid. I hit a hybrid something around 235 meters, which is not a good strike, but I could feel that the wind is sort of assisting me off the left, and I finished just left of the fairway and gave myself, I thought to myself, anything short of the bunker, give myself a good lie, but it is wet, and I could see that, look, I'm going to have to hit something of a 7 or 8 iron to find the center of the green, because the pin is sitting very much in the center, just right of the front, and it's very easy to go for the flag in this situation and actually be short-sighted with the bunker that's just front right position. But there's a huge backstop. I actually found that the ball of mine pitched probably 6 or 7 foot just pin high left, and it obviously had no chance of releasing because I was coming off a ball below my feet, and obviously coming out of the rough with the 7 iron, I couldn't actually take a full swing. I sort of hit a 3/4 and got the ball just to land somewhere, and I was unlucky just to not roll back off the cushion, because the ball now was resting against a cushion at the back of the green, and I was in 3-putt territory. I decided to not use the putter, and I decided that the best thing would be to just get a good roll on the ball to go through the fringe, and I knew I had about 30 to 35 foot of green that would possibly either gather speed, but with the wet conditions, there's no way it could carry on gathering speed. So I bladed a wedge, which was intentional. I thought the ball was going to leave the fringe and then start reducing its speed and maybe come in from a right to left position. It actually stayed completely straight, and I had missed the hole on the right side, which then it started to gather past the hole. So I actually left myself way too much of a par save, and maybe a chip, if I could have got any contact with the top of the ball, would have been a better option just to control the distance on that shot. So I'm in trouble actually on the second, because now I haven't really had a serious putt yet, and then I would say to you, I felt the team competition maybe override the individual. So I was in a situation where I had about 15 foot to save par, and this was not going to happen with a very tricky read. So I left the ball in the throat just because of indecision, and now I've made a 2-putt bogey, and it's time to move on to the par 5, where I feel that I could be just freeing up the swing and looking to hit a driver for the second time today. But at least this is the driver that I didn't have to steer or baby. I could actually now try and really release something, because the wind is into me, and par 5s are really out there to take advantage of. If you're not in a very good position, these par 5s can really attract big numbers. So I hit probably a very shut driver swing, and would love to have it again, but I actually had tree trouble on the left. I had to recover with a hybrid because I was far back, because it hit a tree and went and lost distance. So a hybrid would get me back on the fairway, and I didn't really have any issue with that. I now had given myself 120, 115 meters to the front, and I was told that the pin is a good 20 paces from the front, and in my mind I'm talking myself into a 135, 160 meter shot to the pin, and it doesn't feel like it's a downhill shot. It feels like it's into the wind, and I strike an 8 iron that must have got the height that absolutely just got maybe an extra club of distance, and I had actually not even pitched the green, but I was now long, and I've missed the green to give myself a birdie chance, and now I'm scrambling to make par. I have to hit a flop shot with the lob wedge, which was always going to be expected, and I just go into those shots saying to myself, there's going to be 1 out of 3 that I could really deliver, because this is what I practice, get myself out of these situations. So unfortunately I didn't up and down for my par, and I've got to put another bogey onto the card. Hole 4 is a very tough stroke 2. It's a 3-wood off the tee. There's trouble out of bounds on the right, and then there's tree trouble on the left. So the right shape is to hit a draw, and maybe a little bit ahead of myself, but I actually hit a fat 3-wood, but I still found the fairway. And now you're faced with a distance of about 205, 210 to the front, and I'm telling you, you're just thinking, well, 3 iron, 4 iron is actually too much. I'm going to hit a 5 iron and get a gauge for distance. I hit a semi-decent 5 iron, and at least left myself in a position where I didn't have any hazards to deal with. I had a very clear chip shot that I really gave myself an up and down chance. So I thought through that layup shot, even though I thought, look, the shot wasn't on. Didn't really know how this 5 iron was going to connect, especially without a range session. And I'm now a lob wedge pitch shot from making a very good 3-pointer in Stableford, because it's a stroke 2. I'm playing off a 5 off the white tees at Victoria. It's always good to consider the yellow. You can actually get yourself an extra 2 strokes. So white, does favour me in attack mode, but I unfortunately had a par save that was just very, very difficult putt, and considering the stroke and considering the rhythm, I was very happy with the putt, probably the best putt of the day until this point, but it actually completely moved against the grain, missing the hole on the right, and I had now 3 bogeys on the trot. But hole 5 must have been my hole of the day. I hit a really easy hybrid with a great draw shape, and now I face myself. I know this green is probably the deepest green on the course. It could be between 40 to 45 meters long, and I know the pin is tucked in on the right shoulder. So I'm thinking anything centre of the green, give yourself a birdie chance. So from a hybrid from the tee, I've now faced myself it's a very elevated approach. Sometimes 2 clubs of elevation, and wind is not anything to consider, but it is playing long because of the wet and the very precipitous conditions. So I got myself a 7 iron, and I knew that I could hit the 7 iron with authority, and that's exactly what happened. I hit that 7 iron on a line that started off center, and it did fade towards the right shoulder of the back, and did not know it was a blind shot. So now it's so elevated you don't know how you finish, but the pitch mark was way above the hole, short about 15 foot, and the ball, leaving a very juicy pitch mark, has now managed to release right to left as if it's read the break, and I've actually finished inside 3 foot behind the hole, and I've got myself a 4-pointer in Stableford. So I am really chuffed that I've now managed 2 birdies inside the first 5 holes, and I'm thinking to myself, great hybrid swing, great 7 iron swing, and it just leads to the next 8 iron swing that I've got now with 151 meters to sort of like a de-elevated par 3, trouble left and right. But even if you go long with the 8 iron, there's a backstop that will bring the ball back, and that's what I did on the 6th hole at Victoria. I gave myself a very tough birdie chance. It was above the hole. One of my partners managed to catch the backstop and go below the hole. I wasn't as lucky. I had to really pay attention to the break and the gathering of speed as it collects down the slope, and I